Drug marketplaces are among the most prominent corners of the dark web, operating as hidden hubs where illegal substances are bought and sold in alarming quantities. These marketplaces are typically accessible only through software such as Tor, which conceals a user's IP address and allows for encrypted communication. Once inside the Tor network, users can access .onion sites that host these black markets. Entry often requires special invitation codes or registration and relies heavily on cryptocurrency to ensure untraceable transactions. This aspect of secrecy provides a perceived sense of security for both buyers and sellers, fostering a thriving underground economy beyond the reach of traditional law enforcement. Drug markets on the dark web are a massive part of its ecosystem. According to several studies and law enforcement agencies, a large percentage of dark web activity revolves around the sale of illegal drugs. These platforms offer a wide array of substances, from marijuana and LSD to heroin and fentanyl, with detailed listings, customer reviews, and seller ratings, mimicking legitimate e-commerce sites like Amazon. This level of organization has contributed to the popularity and perceived reliability of these services, specifically among users seeking drugs without the dangers of street-level interactions. With that being said, buyers often have no way to verify the purity or safety of the substances they purchase. Drugs laced with lethal additives, counterfeit pills, and unexpected dosages are commonplace. Furthermore, fentanyl has become a frequent product on these platforms, contributing to the ongoing overdose crisis in several countries. In addition to the health risks, engaging in these transactions exposes users to scams, data breaches, and potential legal consequences. Despite the anonymous nature of these marketplaces, law enforcement agencies have successfully taken down some of the most infamous platforms and prosecuted those behind them. One of the most high-profile cases involved the Silk Road, launched in 2011 and run by Ross Ulbricht under the pseudonym Dread Pirate Roberts. The Silk Road became a massive hub for illegal drug sales, and was eventually shut down by the FBI in 2013. Ulbricht was arrested and sentenced to life in prison without parole. Another significant takedown was AlphaBay, which was launched in 2014 and quickly grew to become the largest dark web marketplace of its time. It was shut down in 2017 in an international law enforcement operation that culminated in the arrest of its founder, Alexander Kazis, who was later found dead in a Thai prison under suspicious circumstances. Law enforcement has continued to evolve in its ability to infiltrate and dismantle these operations. Operation Disruptor, a global effort coordinated in 2020, resulted in over 170 arrests and the seizure of massive quantities of drugs, weapons, and cryptocurrency. These crackdowns have temporarily disrupted the marketplace ecosystem, but often, when one site is shut down, others emerge to take its place. In addition to the legal and health implications, these marketplaces fuel global issues related to drug trafficking, money laundering, and organized crime. Many vendors are part of larger criminal networks that extend far beyond the digital realm. The existence of drug marketplaces not only challenges law enforcement, but also raises broader ethical questions about digital freedom and the evolving nature of the illegal drug trade in the 21st century. Illegal weapon marketplaces include the sales of firearms, explosives, and even military-grade equipment being traded in secret. Like other dark web operations, these marketplaces are accessible only through browsers such as Tor. Some forums require invitations or vetting processes, intended to weed out law enforcement infiltration and establish a sense of trust among criminals. While not as prominent as drug marketplaces, illegal arms markets hold a significant and troubling presence on the dark web. Their smaller size is partially due to stricter regulations and more aggressive law enforcement scrutiny. Nevertheless, these markets cater to a niche yet dangerous clientele that includes criminals, insurgents, extremist groups, and individuals preparing for violent attacks. On these platforms, one can find a range of weapons, including handguns, automatic rifles, silencers, grenades, and even parts for building ghost guns, which are untraceable firearms that can be assembled at home. Some vendors offer weapons smuggled out of conflict zones or obtained through theft and corruption, blurring the lines between digital crime and international arms trafficking. Unlike drugs, where personal harm is mostly confined to the user, weapons purchased online can have far-reaching consequences. There have been instances where dark web source guns were used in violent crimes, mass shootings, and terror acts. The secrecy of the internet allows individuals who might not have access to firearms through legal means, such as convicted felons or those on watch lists, to obtain deadly weapons without scrutiny. Furthermore, some sellers offer instructions or kits for modifying guns, creating fully automatic weapons, or crafting homemade explosives. Law enforcement has made notable efforts to combat illegal arms trading on the dark web, although the decentralized and elusive nature of these markets makes such operations difficult. One of the most well-known busts occurred in 2017, when an international task force dismantled the German dark web marketplace, Wall Street Market, which hosted a variety of illicit goods, including firearms. Several administrators were arrested, and large quantities of cryptocurrency were seized. Another significant case involved a man from Ohio, United States, who in 2018 was convicted for attempting to buy a gun with a silencer on the dark web to commit a mass shooting. He was caught through an undercover operation where law enforcement agents posed as sellers. This case, among others, highlights how authorities have increasingly used sting operations and digital surveillance to identify and prosecute individuals attempting to use the dark web for arms acquisition. Despite these successes, the global nature of the internet means that many dark web arms vendors operate from regions with limited law enforcement reach or weak regulation, making total eradication of these marketplaces extremely challenging. Moreover, as encryption technologies and cryptocurrency tools evolve, criminals adapt their strategies to stay one step ahead of authorities. Ultimately, illegal weapon marketplaces on the dark web present a severe threat to public safety. They enable the unregulated flow of deadly arms across borders and into the hands of those with malicious intent. Data leaks are a prominent aspect of the dark web infrastructure. This encompasses a broad spectrum of stolen or exposed information, ranging from personal details such as credit card numbers, social security numbers, passwords, and medical records, to sensitive corporate and government documents. These platforms often operate in closed forums, marketplaces, and data dump repositories, where information is either sold for profit or shared for notoriety. The prominence of data leaks on the dark web cannot be overstated. In fact, data trading is one of the most active sectors of the dark web ecosystem, rivaling drug and weapon marketplaces in both scale and impact. Millions of users' data, often collected from breached websites, phishing attacks, or insider leaks, are regularly uploaded on these sites. Some platforms specialize, allowing hackers to search and exploit user accounts across multiple platforms. Other sites focus on high-value targets, offering classified documents, corporate secrets, or government intelligence. These data leak sites typically function in two major ways. First, some operate as black markets where data is sold in bulk. Credit card dumps, full identity profiles, and access credentials are sold for cryptocurrency. Buyers can then use the data for financial fraud, identity theft, or further attacks. Second, there are leak sites that serve as public name and shame platforms. These are often run by hacker groups who post stolen data to exert pressure on victims, such as corporations that refuse to pay ransoms. In many cases, ransomware groups will first steal sensitive data, then threaten to publish it on these dark web blogs unless payment is made. On the individual level, victims of these leaks can suffer financial loss, reputational harm, and long-term identity theft issues. On the corporate level, data breaches can result in massive monetary damages, legal liability, and operational disruption. Even more alarming is the threat to national security when government data is exposed. Some leaks have revealed military documents, diplomatic communications, and even intelligence operations. Law enforcement and cybersecurity agencies around the world have made numerous efforts to combat the spread of stolen data on the dark web, with mixed success. Some of the most high-profile cases involve operators of massive data leak platforms being brought to justice. One such example is the takedown of Rapid Forums, a notorious site that facilitated the sale and distribution of billions of stolen records. In 2022, the forum's administrator, who operated under the alias Omnipotent, was arrested in the United Kingdom. Another major case involved the founder of Hansa Market, a platform that not only sold drugs but also traded in stolen data. Authorities seized and ran the site covertly for several weeks, gathering information on users before shutting it down. Despite these efforts, new forums and marketplaces constantly emerge to take the place of those that are shut down. The decentralized and anonymous nature of the dark web makes permanent eradication nearly impossible. Additionally, leaked data tends to resurface repeatedly, even after a site has been taken down, because once information is shared online, it spreads rapidly through secondary platforms and private exchanges. This corner of the dark web fuels fraud, blackmail, political subversion, and national insecurity. While some progress has been made in disrupting major actors, the ever-evolving nature of the internet ensures that this dark industry remains a persistent and growing threat to individuals, corporations, and governments worldwide. Hacking services are one of the most dangerous and highly sought-after corners of the dark web, where individuals and groups can pay for digital break-ins, espionage, sabotage, and surveillance. These sites, often structured like professional service platforms or forums, offer an alarming array of illegal hacking for hire options. While some are public-facing with price lists and testimonials, others require an invitation or proof of reputation to gain access. Customers range from individuals seeking personal revenge to corporations engaged in industrial espionage, and even nation-states interested in cyber warfare and intelligence gathering. Hacking services offered typically include website defacement, DDoS attacks, phishing kits, malware deployment, ransomware creation, email or social media account takeovers, and corporate database breaches. Prices vary widely depending on the target and complexity of the task. For example, hacking into a personal email account might cost as little as a few $100s, while breaking a corporate network could run into the thousands. Many hackers operate under the guise of ethical hacking or security testing to avoid detection, but their intent is almost always malicious when advertised in these hidden marketplaces. On a personal level, these services can be used to carry out revenge, doxing, or financial threat. On a corporate level, they can result in stolen trade secrets, intellectual property loss, or massive data breaches. More disturbingly, at the geopolitical level, these services have been used to disrupt elections, target infrastructure, and compromise government systems. Law enforcement agencies have had some success in identifying and arresting individuals involved in providing or purchasing hacking services, though the decentralized nature of the dark web poses significant challenges. One of the most prominent cases was the takedown of the site Darkode in 2015, which was a notorious cybercrime forum that facilitated the sale of hacking tools, services, and stolen data. Coordinated by the FBI and international partners, the operation led to the arrest of over 70 individuals across multiple countries. Despite some victories, the cybercrime economy remains resilient. New forums and vendors constantly appear, adapting to law enforcement tactics with increasingly sophisticated encryption, communication protocols, and vetting procedures. Many services now operate through decentralized platforms, including encrypted messaging apps and darknet-only marketplaces, making it even harder to trace transactions or identify users. As long as the dark web offers secrecy and protection, the demand for hacking for hire will remain a persistent and growing threat in the digital age. The distribution of child exploitation material is one of the most disturbing corners of the dark web. This illegal activity represents one of the most heinous acts on the internet, and its presence on the dark web has global implications. These hidden sites often require multiple layers of verification, including invitations, the exchange of illicit material, or even payment in cryptocurrency. While not as publicly visible as drug or hacking marketplaces, child exploitation content is considered by law enforcement to be one of the most persistent and insidious elements of the dark web. These websites can include image and video sharing platforms, discussion forums, and even live streaming services that allow real-time abuse to be broadcast for paying viewers. Offenders use encrypted messaging apps and dark web forums to share methods for evading detection, manipulating children, and distributing content. This form of online criminal activity is extremely dangerous and traumatic, not only for the victims, which are often children who are abused and re-victimized every time content is shared, but also for society as a whole. The long-term psychological, emotional, and physical damage inflicted on the victims is immeasurable. Additionally, the dark web allows offenders to form networks that support and reinforce abusive behavior, deepening the threat and making it harder to dismantle. Some of these offenders escalate their activities from viewing to participating, which means the online presence of such communities contributes directly to the real-world abuse of children. Despite the extreme difficulty in tracking these operations, law enforcement agencies across the globe have achieved significant breakthroughs in identifying and prosecuting individuals responsible for the production and distribution of child exploitation content. One of the most high-profile cases was the takedown of Welcome to Video, a dark web site hosted in South Korea that hosted tens of thousands of videos involving child abuse. In 2018, a joint effort between South Korean authorities, the FBI, and Europol led to the arrest of over 300 individuals worldwide. The site's operator, Sun Jong-woo, was convicted and the site was dismantled. Another major case involved the shutdown of Boys Town, one of the largest child abuse forums on the dark web. In 2021, German authorities, in coordination with Europol and international partners, arrested multiple administrators and seized the website. With over 400,000 registered users, the forum was a hub for sharing and trading abuse content. Investigations tied some members to livestream abuse, including abuse carried out at the request of forum users. Law enforcement agencies continue to improve their technical capabilities, using undercover operations, blockchain tracing, and international cooperation to pursue perpetrators. The presence of child endangerment content on the dark web is a tragic consequence of how digital tools can be exploited for malicious purposes. The fight against such crimes is ongoing, and though difficult, continued presence from legal authorities and technological advancements offer hope that even the darkest corners of the internet can eventually be exposed and dismantled. Hitman services are one of the most unsettling and infamous corners of the dark web, where individuals allegedly offer contract killing for a price. This disturbing niche has attracted attention from law enforcement agencies, journalists, and the public over the idea that killing can be commissioned anonymously using cryptocurrency and facilitated through untraceable internet channels. While not as popular or widespread as drug or counterfeit ID markets, hitman for hire sites constantly appear in conversations about the dark web due to the horror of their premise. According to cybersecurity experts and dark web analysts, many of these sites are scams designed to exploit desperate or gullible individuals. They solicit payment and promises of contract killings but never carry them out. However, this does not diminish the danger, as even fake hitman sites can encourage the planning of serious crimes and victimize both the intended target and the buyer. Some individuals have attempted to use these platforms for genuine criminal intent, bringing devastating consequences. The functionality of these websites often mimics that of legitimate e-commerce platforms. Listings will include different packages for hits, sometimes based on factors like location, difficulty, or method, such as shooting, poisoning, or accident. Some sites even offer reviews, status trackers, and customer support, all of which are just part of an elaborate scam. The mere existence of these platforms, real or not, represents a significant threat to public safety. In some rare cases, legitimate attempts to use these services have led to high-profile attempts and prosecutions. One of the most well-known cases involves Stephen Allwine, a Minnesota man who was convicted in 2018 for killing his wife. Investigators found that he had attempted to hire a hitman through a dark web site called Besa Mafia. Though Besa Mafia was later exposed as a scam operation, the plot still culminated in his wife's death, in which Allwine carried it out himself after the hitman arrangement failed. The operator of Besa Mafia, believed to be a Romanian scam artist, was unfortunately never caught. In 2020, the FBI arrested and charged multiple individuals in separate cases involving supposed hitman services accessed via the dark web, many of which were elaborate sting operations. Despite the difficulty in confirming the legitimacy of most hitman sites, law enforcement agencies monitor them closely. Some sites have even been created by agencies themselves as traps to catch potential clients. With that being said, whether real or fraudulent, these services present serious ethical, legal, and societal dangers. Human trafficking is one of the most horrifying corners of the dark web. While the majority of human trafficking occurs offline or through more conventional internet channels like social media and messaging apps, the dark web has been used as a tool by traffickers to facilitate illegal transactions, conceal operations, and distribute exploitative content. Human trafficking on the dark web is often more elusive than the better-known drug or weapon markets, with these websites often being hidden behind layers of encrypted communication, invite-only forums, and paywalled services. In some cases, traffickers will use the dark web to sell access to victims of sex trafficking or forced labor, sometimes under the guise of escort services or slave markets. These listings may include photos, personal data, and disturbing descriptions of the victims, with pricing structures based on age, nationality, and intended use. The prominence of human trafficking on the dark web is difficult to quantify, in part because the majority of trafficking operations use more accessible digital platforms or rely on offline networks. However, the dark web plays a dangerous role in amplifying the exploitation, specifically when it comes to live-streamed abuse and sale of individuals for violent or sexual acts. There have been real and deeply disturbing cases linked to human trafficking operations facilitated by dark web technologies. Operation Bacchus, for example, targeted an organized crime group responsible for trafficking Romanian women into Spain for forced prostitution. The traffickers used digital platforms and social media to lure victims with false job promises, then confine them in controlled environments, often moving them across borders. The operation resulted in 31 arrests and the dismantling of the network. In addition to cases like this one, Europol and the FBI have partnered in several sting operations that revealed the use of darknet forums for coordinating human smuggling routes and exchanging information about victims. These efforts often lead to the rescue of trafficked individuals and the identification of criminal networks. The existence of human trafficking on the dark web highlights the serious danger posed by anonymity when abused. One of the most chilling corners of the dark web is the concept of red rooms, which are alleged live-stream torture or killing sessions where viewers can pay to watch or even direct the abuse in real time. The very idea of red rooms have become infamous in discussions about the darkest aspects of the internet, often surfacing in urban legends, horror stories, and conspiracy theories. Accessing a so-called red room allegedly requires not only the Tor browser, but also a specific link, often shared through invite-only forums or encrypted messaging channels. Once inside, users are promised access for horrific content, such as live acts of violence, torture, or even death. Some reports claim that users can pay more to make requests or direct what happens to the victim. In most known cases, these sites turn out to be elaborate scams. They might use pre-recorded videos, fake interactions, or simply take money and vanish without delivering anything at all. The prominence of red rooms on the dark web is relatively low. However, their notoriety is disproportionately high because of the gruesome nature of what they claim to offer. Cybersecurity experts and dark web researchers largely agree that the logistical and technical demands of broadcasting a live killing while remaining completely anonymous are immense. High bandwidth video streaming, secure hosting, avoiding law enforcement detection, and ensuring payment anonymity are extremely difficult to achieve all at once. For this reason, many researchers believe that while small-scale live abuse may occur, fully interactive red rooms are unlikely to be real in the way they are often portrayed. With that being said, there have been real-world crimes related to this idea. One of the most disturbing cases involved Peter Scully, an Australian man who ran a dark web site called No Limits Fun. While not a red room in the traditional sense, his platform hosted videos of extreme abuse and torture involving children, some filmed specifically for paying clients. Scully used encryption and cryptocurrency to hide his identity and movements, but was eventually captured in the Philippines in 2015. His arrest exposed a horrifying network of exploitation and showed that while live streaming killing may be rare or non-existent, the concept of paying for customized abuse on the dark web is very real. Law enforcement continues to investigate and monitor these areas on the dark web, often infiltrating forums and posing as potential clients to expose scams or uncover real abuse. Though no confirmed instance of an interactive red room livestream involving a live killing has ever been documented by authorities, the danger lies in how these platforms can inspire or conceal actual violence. Thank you very much for watching this video, and if you learned something, make sure to leave a like, comment down below your thoughts on anything I discussed in this video, and subscribe if you would like to see a part 2 or more videos like this one. Thank you again, and goodbye.